is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this? Dun 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 dun.
This is a sham.
No. Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Welcome to DBL. It is Wednesday, September 22nd. I am Sam here with my friends Al and Erica. Tori has the day off. Let's get started. So we begin with really tragic news because the coroner in the case of Gabby Petito confirmed that the remains found at a campground in Wyoming are in fact her. The FBI announced the manner of death was a homicide, but no word yet on the cause of death. Meantime, the search for Gabby's fiance, Brian Laundrie, continues. The FBI is asking for the public's help in locating him. Brian has been missing for more than a week now. Where is Brian? Do you think someone's helping him hide? Do you think he fled the country? What are you thinking?
I really don't know. I don't know. Obviously the fact that he didn't speak to authorities, no one from his family's cooperating. I mean, it's definitely raised a suspicion, but who knows? And especially when you're talking about someone who is standing accused of murdering his girlfriend, there's a narcissism there. That it's unbelievable. I know you followed these cases, having actually covered these types of cases, and who knows if he's dead or alive.
Yeah, I mean, he could be dead, but he doesn't strike me as a person that has a lot of savvy surviving on his own, like a person that's used to being out on the lam. It does seem like if he is still alive and he is still out there, he has to be getting aid in some kind of way.
You think from
somebody.
Family?
I wouldn't even want to speculate,
Okay.
but I wouldn't be surprised. Somebody that's sympathetic to his situation. I mean, he doesn't strike me as a person that, is like lives some kind of outlaw life where he knows how to duck and dodge in between motels and, gas up where there's no cameras. He doesn't strike me as that kind of savvy of a person. It seems like a kind of suburbanite kid that likes to hang out in the woods on the weekends. And I don't know if he could survive out there without being spotted at all. I find that very hard to believe.
And I agree with you, and I do think that we're going to learn really quickly from investigators exactly the cause. We're also going to find out, I guarantee you they already have some leads on where he is, but perhaps they don't want to disclose that. So he stays put. So to your point, I predict that we're going to learn a lot more sooner than any of us believe. Okay, so there is a picture of what's reported to be Brian Laundrie's bedroom from 2017, and it's getting a lot of attention. The photo is from a realtor website when the home was up for sale. So I want you to take a look here. This is his bedroom. Now there are a couple of items in that internet sleuths are pointing out. First, it appears to be an American flag decorated gun next to a shelf. Okay, so you can see that. There's also this Darth Vader mask on the bookshelf. And finally, there's a poster showing figures with knives and other weapons beating people. So curious what our viewers think. Of course, I want to know what Erica and Al think. What do you think? Does this actually reveal anything in your opinion? Is this a distraction or a clue?
I don't know if it's a clue, but I'm not shocked that that's what his bedroom looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
Meaning, clarify, because many teens' bedrooms look this way, or to what perspective you think of him?
If I saw a picture of him and a description of who he was, then I would expect his bedroom to look like that. I don't know. That's just.
I would say this, Erica. I think that in a lot of parts of this country, a lot of young men especially have either a gun, a picture of a gun, or a real gun that they go hunting with. There are gun families, a lot of millions of them. So I don't think having a gun, especially clad in the colors of the United States, is that shocking. Darth Vader, everybody has something Star Wars in their home if you are an adult or a child. And as for the picture, I do think that there's this kind of obsession with violence when you're a young guy, whether you play first-person shooter games, whether you're into kind of reading graphic novels or watching, if he had a row of DVDs of horror movies, that doesn't mean anything. This really kind of reminded me of Columbine when everybody's worried about the long black trench coats and, trench coat mafia, and now Marilyn Manson's band. That's how you start to go down that hill. So I'm like, that just looks like a 17-year-old boys'
I'm a little
apartment.
hesitant just because I look back at my own experience where I was into very violent video games like Mortal Kombat, but I was like, you know, at the same time, I was saving animals on the side of the road.
Right.
So I know that the police are going to have to use discernment to figure out whether this is a clue or distraction, but I just want people to understand that that doesn't always equate to violence just because you may be gothic or
Right.
have like a dark.
Exactly, and it's a good way to just kind of get, start to stereotype people that are completely harmless.
Great point. Okay, so the Gabby Petito case has definitely grabbed the attention of the entire nation, but some are pointing out that while there's a national spotlight on Gabby, there are still so many other people missing, specifically missing people of color, who do not get the same attention. Here's what Joy Reid had to say about it on her show.
No family should ever have to endure that kind of pain, and the Petito family certainly deserves answers and justice. But the way this story has captivated the nation has many wondering, why not the same media attention when people of color go missing? Well, the answer actually has a name: missing white woman syndrome, the term coined by the late and great Gwen Ifill to describe the media and public fascination with missing white women like Lacey Peterson or Natalie Holloway, while ignoring cases involving missing people of color.
Erica, what did you think about what Joy Reid said?
Well, we've actually had this conversation on this show before, and I was very transparent that the first time, and this is seared in my memory for so many reasons, but there was a young woman by the name of Naila Franklin. She went missing in Chicago, and it turned out that she was murdered by her boyfriend, who was my neighbor. And I remember this case playing out for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the proximity was a big one. But before I even knew that connection, I followed that case so intently because I was captivated by the idea that this young black woman was getting so much attention. I had never seen it before on national news. So I understand exactly what Joy Reid is speaking of. And the truth is, in the context of American history, white women have been the most protected. So when you look at a case of a missing white woman or a white woman who has had a horrific demise, then that is a whistle to everyone. If she isn't safe, then who is? Whereas in juxtaposition, if you're talking about a missing person of color, there is this caveat, so to speak, that, well, that's just that might be an unfortunate story, but it might have to do with other things. But the idea that she's this blonde, blue-eyed, like all of the things that we've been taught in fairy tales is the perfect safety of a princess, then we get, as a nation, the nation becomes very up in arms because if she's not safe, then who is safe?
Well, and we always have to factor in capitalism into everything. And Erica, you were talking about blonde hair and blue eyes. A lot of people in this country can identify with that. That looks like a lot of people's daughter, a lot of people's niece. And if I need to get your eyeballs on my television screen, a la Nancy Grace, to look for half an hour about this daughter that could be your daughter,
right,
be your niece. And in the meantime, here's a commercial for Tide. It's all about how you sell things. And these young women, Elizabeth Smart, Natalie Holloway, all these people, they look like the majority of the population. And they're going to be very sellable. You were talking about Naila. Like, I knew her sister very well, know her sister very well. I did comedy with her sister,
Wow.
Marina, forever. So I also knew that case. And I was thinking, what other person of color, young woman of color, can I name in my 44 years of life?
I tried to think about the same
Can you name
thing earlier
one?
today. No, and that's where it really hit me in the face because, for one, I understand that this case, yes, she's blonde hair, blue-eyed. She also has 1 million YouTube followers or whatnot. So let's try and compartmentalize that because people are going to immediately say, but she had a big, big following.
How many did Natalie Holloway have?
Exactly. So that's why I wanted just to differentiate it. But I could not think of a woman of color that I can call to the front of my mind like I can with some of the other young white women. So I think that it's important that we highlight that we heard it obviously from Joy earlier, and since we did brought it up, we need to use our platform and highlight some of these other missing person cases. So you never know, maybe one of our viewers will know something because we're going to provide you guys with some phone numbers. This is Lauren Cho, known by the name Elle. She has been missing since June 28th, okay? Was last seen leaving her home in Yucca Valley, California. If you have any information, please, we are broadcast all over the nation. Please look at the number on your screen. Next is Akia Eggleston. She was last seen on May 3rd, 2017 in the Inner Harbor area of Baltimore City, Maryland. She was 8 months pregnant when she disappeared. If you know anything, please call the FBI's Baltimore field office. And this is Daniel Robinson. He's a 24-year-old geologist that was last seen leaving a job site in Buckeye, Arizona on June 23rd. Anyone with information, call the Buckeye Police Department. And I know these are just a drop in the bucket, right?
These are people's kids.
These are people's kids, parents, fathers, siblings. Heartbreaking. Coming up on DBL, our interview with Dr. Drew and his daughter. We are talking about their book that's all about having tough conversations with your kids. Plus, Kelly Ripa and husband Mark Consuelos reveal how they settle fights, why they say heading right to the bedroom works for them.
Closed captioning provided by
Hi. So we're having this conversation about white woman syndrome, and I do think it is very important to at least acknowledge that there's a duality of thought here. The outrage and the outcry for this young woman, Gabby Petito, is very much warranted, and I don't want to diminish that, but two schools of thoughts can exist at the same time. It's important for there to be an outcry for Gabby, but there's also an importance in there being an outcry for all of the other missing people, whether that's people of color, LGBTQ+, QIA+, who are historically never spoken about. So when we're having these conversations, we do need to understand that all of these people deserve this time. And when I made the comment that it is historically contextualized, that's all to say that people have died and have been falsely accused and lost their lives due to allegations, even some of them unfounded, made by white women. And because there is this historical context to protect the white woman in this country. So it's not surprising that people of color and marginalized communities aren't given the same amount of media as women like Gabby, but obviously this is a very traumatic and terrible case.
Welcome back to DBL. Kelly Ripa's husband, Mark Consuelos, knows how to keep the peace at home. Kelly recently revealed on her show how Mark likes to settle any issues that come up in their relationship by doing this.
He would have been like, oh, you're upset? I know how to take care of that. Oh, you don't feel good about something? I'll take care of that. Oh, you're feeling like maybe you're overworked? I got you. I know what you need. Because everything for Mark is settled with, everything is settled with love and sexy time.
Okay. Oh, wow. What do you think, Al?
Completely agree.
Really?
You know, I watch.
That's how you handle your fights?
I watch a show called Married at First Sight. And obviously they get married first. And so obviously they're still strangers, so they don't have sex right away. And there's all this tension. There's, I don't know, is Erica gonna try and tell me how to run my finances? The night they have sex, they come to breakfast, a whole different vibe. It's a different thing. It works, it relieves tension. And if you're not having sex, it does build up and there's animosity that's unspoken. it can lead to trouble. I think sex solves a lot. Not everything, but a lot.
Well, a little inside baseball. We have our morning meeting, and it's over Zoom. And my husband was in the bathroom as I was getting ready. He walked by, and this topic came up, and he went, and just kept walking. And I'm like, because I very much I feel like I have to mentally be in a space to be in the bedroom in that way. So if I'm upset about something, I don't have this quick turnaround like, oh, everything's going to be okay now, because mentally I'm not there.
I'm right there with Erica. Yes. First of all, Al, I looked into psychology with it. Obviously, I'm not a clinician, but there are clinicians out there who've spoken out about this. Yes, intimacy is super important in a relationship. However, if you're using sex to put a Band-Aid on 1,000+ issues that you are not actually dealing with, you're never going to deal with it. So you can have both. Both can be true.
Yeah, and this is where I want to push back on you, Erica, because I know that it's completely important to be in the right headspace for sex. But I think sometimes when you're waiting for that perfect moment, more time and more tension's building up. Sometimes if you just get in there, take care of it, and then when you come out, see how you feel. It's like the end of a car wash. It's like, hey, I feel a little bit better. It's that your car isn't fixed, but it's a little bit cleaner.
I don't want to be touched with a 10-foot pole when I'm angry.
It doesn't have to be 10 feet. I was like, it doesn't have to be 10 feet.
All right, Mark.
That's a saying.
Okay.
That's a saying. It has nothing to do with a euphemism.
Okay.
Good for you, girl.
Shout out to Mark.
Stop it. Coming up on DBL, our interview with Dr. Drew and his daughter. We're getting the deets on their book, which is all about those hard to talk about combos with teens.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott wants President Biden to declare a federal emergency along the U.S.-Mexico border. Thousands of migrants are living under a bridge in Del Rio, Texas. That's about 150 miles west of San Antonio. Most of them are from Haiti, trying to seek asylum in the United States. Families say they left out of fear after a series of natural disasters, the assassination of the country's president, and a sharp rise in violence. But they didn't come directly to the U.S.-Mexico border. Thousands of Haitians went to South America after the 2010 earthquake. The New York Times first reported that Haitians were offered humanitarian visas to some South American countries as low-wage workers. According to Brazil's government, Haitian migration hit a peak of 17,000 in 2018. Chile's peak was in 2018 as well, when the government issued 126,000 visas to Haitians. Those numbers have since plummeted due to stricter immigration regulations, economic instability, and discrimination. So the Haitian migrants travel north through Central America and Mexico, trying to reach the United States. And that brings us to the border. The latest data from Customs and Border Protection shows nearly 28,000 Haitians intercepted in the current fiscal year, which ends September 30th. That's more than 6 times the number in 2020. With the current influx in Del Rio, the Department of Homeland Security is taking migrants to other customs processing locations in Eagle Pass and in Laredo. The U.S. is also carrying out flights to take migrants back to Haiti and other destinations. While that happens, migrants are left to wait under the bridge while the U.S. government works out its plan for humanitarian relief and relocation.
Welcome back to DBL. Remember hearing about the birds and the bees from your parents? Yeah. Well, we spoke to Dr. Drew Pinsky and his daughter Paulina about their new book and why those conversations do not have to be so awkward. That's today's DBL Spotlight.
Yay.
Drew and Paulina, hi.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Okay, so Drew, you've been talking about sex, and I've even been there right next to you on Loveline for years, but it didn't go that smoothly with your kids at first. That surprises me.
Well, I mean, look, when you're every parent has just produced a parent, so that's just, and we tell the story in the book. The more interesting thing to me, though, is that in spite of these being topics that I've talked about for a long time, the conversation has changed a little bit. And we originally got involved in this project. The idea was sort of backing into consent because that was pre-COVID. It was in the days of the Me Too movement. And I was like, young people are extremely confused about consent. And if we're going to approach that, I need a young person. And Paulina's a writer, and so I got her involved with it, and that was a very good move.
Paulina, you are brilliant. First of all, it's so good to see your face, and I'm just so proud of everything that you're doing, really. But I have to ask you, why were you so reluctant to hear about the birds and the bees from your dad? I mean, I get it, but tell us why.
Because everyone was hearing about the birds and the bees from my dad, and so everyone expected him to talk to me about it. And so I knew it was coming, and I knew that people were getting information, but I had no desire to hear that information.
I know. I would start. She would bounce forward with crazy questions. I go, okay, here you go, and she'd run away screaming. So, but listen, this book is not about that. It really isn't. We tell those stories, but this book is about how to have healthy relationships, how to navigate relationships and consent, all kinds of relationships, romantic relationships, relationships with adults, relationships with your parents. We really are focused. We're not focused on the biology in this text. We really are not, because that's out there. That's everywhere.
It exists.
Yeah, it's already out there, done. But this is, but this is about how to navigate relationships in a healthy way. So.
Ultimately, taking consent out of a sexual context and putting it into an interpersonal context teaches people how to practice consent before they get into a sexual context.
Yeah.
You were talking about consent over and over and over again. Let's talk about that. Paulina, specifically, were there times in your life where consent was an issue? And I don't mean even if it's a capital S sexual assault. I mean even just interpersonal, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think throughout my life, I learned different ways in which I did or didn't consent because we wrote this book. So obviously in a sexual context, I had blurry consent throughout college. I would use alcohol to initiate sex, and it left me feeling emotionally bankrupt and not good about myself. And then too, as a child, I feel like I was put into dynamics with older adults that maybe weren't healthy for me. And I didn't really know the signs and signals for what was an inappropriate relation. And so through writing this book, I think we are able to provide guideposts for people so that when they go through these relationships, they know when they're relating to someone in a healthy way or not.
You said something rather profound last time we were out talking about this book, was that if you'd had this in college, you would have avoided a lot of unpleasant situations.
Absolutely. I didn't learn about consent until orientation week.
Wow.
And, it was consent is sexy. No means no. Yes means yeah. And that was it. And it wasn't a nuanced conversation. It was very black and white. And consent is an ongoing negotiation. It isn't something that you just give willy-nilly. You can take it back at any point if you're uncomfortable. And that's something that I really want to drive home.
And look, we get into everything. We get into gender, sexual orientation. We get into all the stuff that's so confusing for late adolescents, and really give them a frame to go after it and understand it in a comfortable way, a non-awkward way. So the awkward thing is not just about the parents, it's about navigating relationships before you really understand what you're doing.
Drew, what's up, man? This is Al Jackson. Really quickly, man, how you doing? We only got about 30 seconds. What advice would you give to people that are still resistant to getting the COVID vaccine?
Listen, the one easy thing for me, there's a lot to that conversation. I work with resistant behaviors all the time, right? People that want to keep doing drugs and don't want to listen to people. I know you go straight at them, it's the worst thing you can do. The one simple thing I would start with is saying, look, maybe you don't want to take the risk for yourself, but how about for the rest of us? We have an obligation to sort of make sure we suppress this thing from replicating so it doesn't form more an awful variant. So on behalf of everybody else, at least, maybe take a little bit of risk on your own.
Thank you for that. Drew, Paulina, thank you for speaking to us. I definitely believe that your book will save relationships. It will save lives. And you can order your copy of their book by going to drdrew.com/awkward. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
A majority of Hispanics surveyed say they generally prefer to identify themselves by their country of origin rather than by the labels Latino or Hispanic. But when it comes time to check the box, what do they do? To find out, we checked with the U.S. Census and the Pew Research Center. The U.S. Office of Management and Budget defines Hispanic or Latino as someone from Cuba, Mexico, Puerto Rico, South or Central America. The Pew Research Center uses the term Hispanic for anyone who is from or has ancestors from a Spanish-speaking country. That excludes Brazil, since Portuguese is the main language there, but it does include Spain. A general rule of thumb is a person who speaks Spanish is Hispanic, whereas someone from Spain or has origins in Spain is Spanish. Latino, Latina, and the newer Latinx tend to be based more on geographics, meaning someone of Latin American descent. According to Pew, in 2020, the Hispanic population in America reached more than 62 million people, up from 50.5 million in 2010. That's 1 in 5 people in the U.S. Those of Mexican origin make up about 62% of the overall population, followed by Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Salvadorans, and Dominicans. Since Latino and Hispanic are frequently used interchangeably, the U.S. Census has chosen to keep the answer straightforward. Who is Hispanic? Anyone who chooses to identify themselves as such. And that's connecting the dots.
Welcome back to DBL. It is time for a security alert sponsored by LifeLock. So according to AARP, robocallers are claiming to be a patient advocate named Becky and offering a genetic cancer screening. If the caller says everyone qualifies for the test or that you shouldn't consult your own doctor, this call is fake. If you receive a genetic testing kit in the mail, do not accept it unless your doctor ordered it. Really important information. LifeLock keeps you and your digital identity secure. Call 800-439-9017. Have a great day, everybody.